He used to sit down every day and make me go through the pains of perhaps mistakes made, of big denials.
Everyone is talking about what Sarah Ferguson just revealed, and it's not what anyone expected. For years the question haunted royal watchers: why didn't Prince Philip live with the Queen? The answer was buried in royal silence, whispered behind palace walls. Until now, Sarah Ferguson, the woman Prince Philip never forgave, the woman banned from Sandringham, the woman the Duke refused to speak to, has broken her silence. And what she revealed changes everything we thought we knew. There is a farmhouse on the edge of the Sandringham estate, a 5-bedroom home made of weathered stone, where the Norfolk wind blows over quiet fields and no cameras are waiting. This was Wood Farm. After August 2017, this is where Prince Philip decided to live. He chose it over Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, or Sandringham House, where the Queen hosted family gatherings during Christmas. Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, had stood next to the world's most powerful monarch for over 70 years, and he deliberately chose a simple farmhouse. After retiring from public duties in August 2017, Prince Philip spent his time between Windsor Castle and Wood Farm on part of the 600-acre Sandringham estate, which also includes Anmer Hall, the country home of Prince William and Kate Middleton. What the palace did not fully explain was that this was not a medical or logistical decision. It was a personal choice. Royal author Hugo Vickers wrote in his book Queen Elizabeth II, a personal history, that Philip was at his happiest at Wood Farm and that he more or less settled there. During these years, Philip and Elizabeth lived separate lives. The Duke enjoyed activities such as carriage driving, reading, and painting, while his wife attended to her royal duties at Buckingham Palace. Vickers notes that from time to time the Queen went up by train to Norfolk to stay over the weekend and that she allowed him a lot of freedom. This detail surprised royal watchers. The Queen traveled to him, not the other way around. In their marriage, she was the monarch and he was the consort. Duke Philip found a private life away from the royal responsibilities that dominated their lives. Sarah Ferguson, who understood the challenges of royal life, had visited Wood Farm. She recognized its significance within the royal family and understood why a man like Prince Philip preferred a quiet home to palace life. The pressures of duty meant that Philip and the Queen had grown used to living apart. Even when they were together, they did not share a bedroom. Therefore, the new living arrangements did not indicate any marital discord. Instead, moving to Wood Farm represented the realization of a shared dream for Philip and the Queen, to live like normal people in the countryside. This was a sense of freedom for Philip. After 70 years of following his wife at public events, holding back his opinions, and obeying royal protocol, he was finally living for himself. To understand why Prince Philip did not live with Queen Elizabeth in his later years, it helps to know a key fact. They never shared a bedroom throughout their 73-year marriage. This was not a sign of issues. Rather, it was a tradition among the British upper class that the royal family followed. Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip were happy together, but they reportedly slept in separate beds, a common practice in upper-class society. In practical terms, this setup was meaningful. Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip had a strong partnership both in public and private. While their home lives were separate, they had their own rooms, routines, and staff. The Queen worked with state papers while Philip enjoyed his books and paintings. To him, she was Lilibet in private, but the sovereign to everyone else. He was the only person who could speak to her as an equal, but even in their closeness, there were boundaries. Sarah Ferguson, who married into the royal family in 1986, saw these boundaries firsthand. She experienced how the royal institution affected even the most private aspects of their lives. For a man like Philip, who was direct and preferred simplicity, having space did not mean he rejected his wife. It provided him with the freedom he needed. Throughout their courtship and marriage, Prince Philip was a loyal companion and strong support for the Queen. The Queen once said, "He is someone who doesn't take easily to compliments, but he has, quite simply, been my strength and stay all these years." Philip loved his wife deeply. He expressed that love not by being close physically, but through many years of quiet support. Their separate bedrooms and his residence at Wood Farm did not mean they were disconnected. In their own unique way, this was an intimate arrangement. They were so secure in their relationship that they did not need to be in the same room to feel close. For nearly 3 years, Wood Farm was Prince Philip's home. He drove his Land Rover around the estate, painted, read a lot, and had occasional visits from family. The Queen visited on weekends, and they maintained a relationship that was a mix of devotion and arrangement. Then COVID-19 changed everything. Elizabeth moved from Buckingham Palace to Windsor Castle and asked Philip to join her. They went into strict isolation, jokingly called HMS Bubble by the master of the household. No one was allowed in the upper ward of the castle, and there were no ladies-in-waiting present. They lived in just 4 rooms of the castle, cared for by a small staff of 22 people. The couple remained isolated for the rest of the year, even skipping Christmas with other royal family members. After years of living apart, with Philip at Wood Farm and the Queen visiting by train, the pandemic brought them together. They spent time alone in their 4 rooms with staff keeping their distance. For the first time in years, Philip was not at Wood Farm living on his own terms. He returned to the royal institution and began to age quickly. Philip had health issues in early 2021, going in and out of the hospital. He nearly died during heart surgery in March. His close friends noticed that his short-term memory was getting worse. He died on April 9, 2021 at Windsor Castle, aged 99. To understand Sarah Ferguson's views on Prince Philip and why he lived at Wood Farm, it is important first to know why he disliked her. Prince Philip's feelings toward his daughter-in-law were clear-cut. Royal author Jane Dismore stated that Prince Philip disliked Sarah Ferguson even before she married Prince Andrew, noting that she was the one person Prince Philip would not have anything to do with, and that Ferguson knew she wasn't welcome when Prince Philip was around. Commentator Richard Fitzwilliams, who talked to a courtier, added that Sarah Ferguson didn't understand what being royal meant. In 1992, scandalous photos of Sarah Ferguson were published showing her on vacation with her financial advisor, John Bryan. The royal family was humiliated by these images, especially since they appeared while she was at Balmoral, the Queen's beloved Scottish retreat. According to one story, Prince Philip marched downstairs with a newspaper showing the photos, handed it to Ferguson, and the Queen suggested she return to London, effectively exiling her from the family. Then in 2010, things got worse. Reports revealed that Prince Philip's dislike turned into hatred after Sarah Ferguson was caught in a newspaper sting trying to sell access to Prince Andrew for $500,000. The News of the World published the tapes, causing a scandal that forced Ferguson to appear on Oprah to defend herself. Royal reporter Richard Miniards noted that after that, Prince Philip decided that she was just out of it, that he would never deal with her or attend events with her. Author Sally Bedell Smith noted that he was so angry with her for embarrassing the family that he basically declared her persona non grata at the royal family. This context helps us understand Sarah Ferguson's comments about Prince Philip. When she speaks, she is not just an observer. She is the woman he cast out, banned from Sandringham. For her, Wood Farm became a halfway house, close enough to see her daughters at Christmas, but far enough to meet Prince Philip's demand that she stay out of his sight. The modest farmhouse where Prince Philip spent his final years is the same place that Sarah Ferguson knows from a very different kind of exile. During Andrew's life, Wood Farm earned the nickname of the divorce home. It gained this reputation in 1992 when Sarah Ferguson stayed there over Christmas after Prince Philip banned her from the royal Christmas celebrations at Sandringham House. Sarah, who was married to Andrew from 1986 to 1996, also stayed at Wood Farm during Christmas while her daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, were young. This allowed her to be nearby without officially attending the Queen's festivities at Sandringham. This situation holds a layered tragedy. Philip lived at Wood Farm by choice, feeling free and content after a life filled with duty. In contrast, Ferguson was sent to Wood Farm due to exclusion from the royal family at the behest of Philip and palace politics. The same 4 walls held completely different experiences. Ironically, in 2026, Andrew is living at Wood Farm, stripped of his titles and moved from Royal Lodge, occupying the same divorce home that once sheltered his ex-wife. Philip's time at Wood Farm symbolized freedom, while Ferguson's stay there during Christmas felt like punishment. The Duchess of York recently appeared on the Life's a Beach podcast where she shared an important lesson she learned from Prince Philip about being in the public eye. The Duke of Edinburgh used to say, "Remember Sarah, you've got to be electable but never elected," Ferguson told host Alan Carr. She described him as terrifying and very wise. Her words show that she had difficult experiences with him but managed to survive them. Reports say Ferguson grew distant from the Duke after her divorce. Though she had been estranged from the royal family due to a scandal, she told Harper's Bazaar that she wanted to maintain good relations with her in-laws. She kept a close relationship with the Queen until the monarch's death in September 2022 at age 96. After the Queen's death, Ferguson shared a tribute saying that to her the Queen was the most incredible mother-in-law and friend, that she would always be grateful to her for the generosity she showed in remaining close to her even after her divorce, and that she would miss her more than words could express. The important detail many overlook is that despite Philip's rejection of Ferguson, the Queen never fully cut ties with her. She cared for Fergie, visited her, and invited her to Balmoral when Philip was absent. The Queen welcomed her back quietly into royal life, and Ferguson showed loyalty in return. Although Ferguson supported Queen Elizabeth II after Prince Philip's death, she was not invited to his funeral. She had been there for the Queen, going on walks and visiting her, and after his death she even took in and cared for the Queen's corgis. What does Ferguson's recent openness reveal about Philip's choice to live separately from the Queen? It shows that his decision was not about their marriage, but about who he was as a person. Philip had a strong will, deep beliefs, and little interest in performing royal duties once he no longer had to. After 70 years of service, he wanted his own space, and the Queen respected that. She traveled to see him on weekends, allowing him to be himself. Ferguson understands Philip's need for space. She witnessed the Queen love a man who needed it as much as others need air. While Andrew and Fergie continued to live together and the Queen had reconciled with Ferguson, Philip still held a grudge against her. Ferguson experienced the complexities of a family in which Philip's contempt shaped where people sat and who was welcome. With both Philip and the Queen gone, Sarah Ferguson now feels free from Philip's influence. She explains that the time at Wood Farm was not a mystery or a crisis. It was just Philip being himself, a man who earned the right to live his life quietly with a wife who loved him enough to give him space. That, she believes, is the truth that many people hesitated to say. And in its own unique way, it tells a powerful royal story.